week 4 of the fantasy football season. His few defense DST units I have his sleepers this week. The first one, the Washington Commanders, still surprisingly out there in 81% of fantasy leagues. This is a great matchup with the Atlanta Falcons. If they could bottle up Bijan Robinson, makes everything else easier. Michael Penix, he's not getting the ball to his playmakers. Drake London, not doing much. Darnell Mooney, he's been banged up, played only 2 games so far this season. And Kyle Pitts, he's made a couple plays here and there, but Michael Penix just can't finish drives and get the football in the end zone. In the last couple weeks for this Commander team, week 2 at Green Bay, 27 points allowed, 2 sacks. And then week 3 versus the Raiders, a great game, 24 points, 5 sacks in that one, and a kick return touchdown. So like I said, there's a streaming option, and with a good matchup at the Falcons that give up the 6th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season, I like the Commanders as a good sleeper this week, and they actually did crack my top 12 in the rankings. If you didn't check that video out, next DST I have his sleepers, the Chicago Bears. I know week 2 they got blown out 52-21, but is a deep sleeper option and a good streaming option out there in 94% of fantasy leagues. Where week 1 they had a pretty decent game in terms of fantasy points, 27 points allowed, 3 sacks, a pick 6. Week 2 got the doors blown off 52-21 at Detroit. And then week 3 versus the Cowboys, only 14 points allowed, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. So Geno Smith in this offense last week, they put up some points at the end of the game. But I think this Bear team could go into Vegas, create a couple turnovers, possibly get to Geno Smith a couple times, where they're one of the worst offensive lines in the league is this Vegas Raider team. And this Bear team, if they get off to a good start and a lead, we saw last week the defense went out there, was more comfortable and played well. So like I said, it's a long shot that they'll do what they did again this week like last. But definitely in DST, I could see going to Vegas and have a decent game. And the final defense DST have is a sleeper, is the Carolina Panthers. So the Panthers last week, what a game they put on. A monster performance. It was 2 interceptions, a shutout, a recovery touchdown in that ball game for this Carolina Panther team. So this week, a good matchup at the Patriots on paper. It gives up the 3rd most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. And the Panthers, I know they're a team not going anywhere this season. But last week versus that Falcon offense, I know Michael Penix hasn't played good, but they still have Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. And they held them to a shutout and put up a monster game. And I'm not saying they're going to hold New England to a shutout, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if it could be a grinded out game between these two teams, or low 20s at best in terms of scoring. So that's a few defense DST units I have as sleepers for week 4 of the fantasy football season.